Oh my God, it's official. I'm the worst content creator in the world. Don't you dare agree. Varada Sethu was playing Monday in Doctor Who, episode 3. Boom! And I didn't notice, and I didn't mention it in my review. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, everyone. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X, Twitter, at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram, and on Threads, at Movies TV Mad X. A very warm welcome to Monday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily. So, brand new season 2 companion, although I think she's in this year's Christmas special, also written by Stephen Moffat. Varada Sethu was the actor playing Monday. And you know what? As I was watching it, I was thinking, is that her for a split second? I'm like, no way. I didn't think. But I kind of thought it for a split second. So apologies to everyone, because I feel really bad and like the biggest idiot, and I feel really stupid for not realising that was Varada. And round of applause, everyone. Varada was outstanding. And I must admit, when I heard of her casting, I thought, I'm very loyal to Millie. I love Millie, and I think in the next episode of Doctor Who, you're going to see why she was cast and how great she is. And someone said to me that's why they kicked her to the curb. And it's true in a way. Millie has been kicked to the curb. In a way. And I think that will become, we'll see what they're going to do with Millie in season 2. And I don't think it's what anyone thinks it's going to be. But, so I was very not happy that Varada was cast because I felt loyal to Millie. And I have to apologise to her because she was outstanding. As Monday, I did give her some credit, and the actor with her, playing her love interest, I thought they were brilliant. Nerdrodic said he wasn't interested in their storyline. Actually, I was very, very interested in their storyline. So before we talk more Doctor Who, I want to say a few things. I've been on this platform since July, I think 2018. And I did mostly DC videos when I first started. We were doing the DCEU Daily. We were fighting to release the Snyder Cut. And I'm proud that I was part of that fight. But I started getting pigeonholed with something I didn't like. A DC YouTuber. Now, obviously, I can understand why people were calling me a DC YouTuber, because I was predominantly doing DC content. But even then, I was talking about Doctor Who. Here's the thing. I will talk about anything in entertainment that I'm passionate about. And it won't just be DC. If you've noticed, I've been speaking more about Doctor Who than DC recently. That doesn't mean I'm a Doctor Who YouTuber or a Doctor Who content creator. I'm not a Who-tuber. I'm not a big fan of Who-tubers because I don't think they're that honest. I think they're judgmental of the fans. So I'm not the biggest fan of Who-tubers anyway. So I don't want to be pigeonholed with that term either. Basically, I love talking about entertainment, but I will talk about what I'm passionate about. I think we talked about Wizard of Oz a few weeks back. I will do that, and I knew the views wouldn't be very good. Not that my views are great, but I knew they would be lower than normal. But I'll do that. And even though I'm called Movies TV Mad, sometimes I will talk about my beloved Manchester United, because I'm not going to set up another channel to talk about Manchester United. Maybe I should. Maybe I will do that one day. But right now, let's work on Movies TV Mad. I'm not here to be popular or successful. I'm here to talk about what I'm passionate about, which is entertainment. It means a lot to me. It means a lot that that there's such a thing as YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and Threads where I can say my piece. That's all this is about. So basically, I'm an entertainment YouTuber. I'm not a DC YouTuber. I'm not a Doctor Who YouTuber. But DC, and Doctor Who are the two things I'm predominantly passionate about. But don't get it twisted. Big 24 fan, big Quantum Leap fan, big Knight Rider fan. There's a lot of stuff. Obviously, I love Superman. But there's a lot of stuff. I love Spider-Man. I grew up with Spider-Man. I love The Incredible Hulk. I was watching Ang Lee's Hulk last night. There's a lot of shit in entertainment that I absolutely love. I'm 51 years old. I don't have enough time. I don't have a lifespan to do videos about everything I love. But sometimes we are going to go, and talk about things that we don't normally talk about. And I hope that's okay with you. And obviously you don't have to watch the videos. Anyway, I do want to have a little Doctor Who chit-chat. I want to kind of do a boom take 2 as well. So yes, isn't that interesting? Because on the very week a brand new full-time companion is playing a character she's probably not going to be playing in season 2 when she's full-time. Now, apparently, according to people who have been watching the location shoot, she's going to be called Belinda. I'm not sure about that. Take that with a pinch of salt, but we will see. What does this remind you of? Oh, yes. Clara Oswald, played by the brilliant, ever-talented Jenna Coleman. And it used to be Jenna Louise Coleman. I think it's just Jenna Coleman now. I like three-barreled names. I think they're awesome. Anyway, so basically, and I was talking about this, wasn't I? That I could sniff Moffat's storytelling influence from the very beginning of RTD2, especially on The Church of Ruby Road. The fact that she's a mystery box, that smelled like Stephen Moffat. And we know the kind of mystery box that RTD does, and it isn't this type of mystery box. I go back again to the one-word mystery of Bad Wolf, of Torchwood, of Harold Saxon. Oh, the bees are running out. There's not many bees about in season 4, little clues like that. So we know how RTD does things. What's been quite shocking to me in RTD2 is how Moffat, and RTD especially, have been repurposing their own stuff. I am surprised about that because I do think they are two creatives, and I've criticised RTD in recent weeks, but it doesn't mean I don't admire him. I have great gratitude to RTD. RTD has meant something very personal to me because I'm very passionate about this art form. I love it. And when I watch something, it's all encompassing for me. I just don't do it for a pastime. I love it. I don't watch stuff so I can talk about it in a video. Like all your successful YouTubers, they're probably just watching entertainment so they can talk about it. That's not me. Without the great entertainment, films and television that I grew up with, I probably wouldn't exist anymore. I was a very lonely little boy. I was suffering with learning difficulties. I didn't speak till I was around 2 years old. I suffered with dyslexia. I still do. I am hugely dyslexic. If you see the long sentences I write on ex-Twitter, they're terribly dyslexic. I can't help it. I don't know all the punctuation. I'm just being honest with you. So if you're reading something saying, bloody hell, Mick, what's wrong with you? Well, I'm dyslexic. It's a disability, everyone, so be kind. Not just to me, because I can handle criticism. Of course I can. If you can't handle criticism, you shouldn't be doing this. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I've lost where I was talking about. But anyway, we're talking about Doctor Who, yeah. So basically, we can see how RTD does it. And as I say, RTD has meant a great deal with me, for me. Bringing back Doctor Who, his passion in Doctor Who Confidential for all those years, he was the way. He seemed to really get Doctor Who. And then Moffat came in and done it so differently, it was too much for me. And I kind of just couldn't get into the Moffat era. I kept on watching it. I would never stop watching Doctor Who, however bad it gets. I don't care. I love Doctor Who, and I'm not one of those people who wants Doctor Who to fail to prove some stupid point. I want RTD, I want Moffat, I want everyone working on this show to be successful. But you can't keep on slapping people in the face. And what Boom did was make me fall in love with Doctor Who all over again. Even though it was blatantly repurposing some old Moffat dialogue and, some old Moffat storytelling. I know that. But even though they're repurposing a lot of stuff, which I think, maybe they just don't know what else to do, or maybe that's just something they're doing. Maybe it's part of this Whoniverse thing. Maybe they're doing it on purpose. Maybe there's a method to this madness. I don't know. I suppose ultimately we're going to have to judge Doctor Who Season 1. And I still think it's insane that they're calling it Season 1. I know they want this fresh start, but they keep on mentioning like stuff from the 60s and the 70s. It's insane, right? Look, and it was wrong from the very beginning to call From Rose Season 1. Really, because that just made things confusing. Classic Who fans calling it Season 28 or whatever it is, right? Don't expect me to know what reality season we're on. If I was running the show, the first thing I would do is make it absolutely clear we are a continuation from the classic series, and it would be series 40 or whatever it is, right? As I say, Don't expect me to know everything about Doctor Who. I'm not that kind of YouTuber. I'm not that kind of content creator. You know, if you want, yeah, in minute 505 in 1965, the Doctor took a shit. No, I don't know that kind of stuff. And I apologise, but I love Doctor Who, and I've been in love with this character since the Peter Davison era. I did skip Colin Baker and I did skip Sylvester McCoy, as I've mentioned before. I came back from again. I adore that movie, warts and all. And the revival. I know everything that you need to know about the revival. And, you know, I only recently stopped buying the box sets and stuff like that because I did fall a little bit out of love. But, you know, Boom did make me fall in love with Doctor Who again, even though he was repurposing a lot of his old stuff. And I get that. But I don't think you can't say it's a bad episode because of that. And so, and I know I'm quoting Nerd Roddick a lot because I do like Gary, and I know a lot of people don't like Gary, and I'll be labelled as some kind of Easternism for even saying that I watch Gary and I like Gary. I think he's very knowledgeable about the industry, and he says a lot of good things. He says things I absolutely don't agree with, right? And sometimes he uses terms towards people that I don't like. But just because you don't always agree with someone, it doesn't mean you have to dislike them, or you shouldn't consume their content. I follow lots of people with lots of different ideologies. Some of them I probably wouldn't go down the pub with, but if I like what you do, if you interest me, if you entertain me, if you amuse me, I'm going to keep on watching you. I like to have all opinions, and I think that's what we want here at Movies TV Mad. We want all opinions. I don't like echo chambers. Echo chambers are very, very dangerous. An echo chamber is what Hollywood and the modern day Western English-speaking entertainment industry has become. And this is why, one of many reasons, probably is the reason, they're on their knees. So, yes, it was a big shock to see Varada Sethu as Monday. And I didn't, as I say, I was on Twitter scrolling and then people were mentioning it. Oh my God, this is a shock. No, not many people noticed that. It went under the radar. Well, it went under my radar, but this is the guy who didn't notice that the Cavill upper lip CGI was bad when I watched Justice League in the cinema. I didn't notice that. I quite like that scene. At first, I found that scene charming, and I go onto Twitter, everyone's shitting on it, and then I rewatch it and I think, oh yeah. How did I not notice that? I only started disliking that movie when we got to the middle part. I actually think that bit with Superman at the beginning with the kids was kind of charming. But anyway, that's just me. Let's move away from that. We're not talking about Superman today. We're talking about my beloved Doctor Who. Of course, Superman is my beloved character as well. And so, yeah, I think what Boom does, it brings back that classic era of the revival, of New Who. That kind of, I don't know, that pomp, that circumstance, the big speeches, the emotions, you know. Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor is standing on a landmine and he's crying. It's utterly compelling. The moment he says to her, you've been fighting an algorithm. You've been fighting an enemy that doesn't exist. And as I said when I reviewed the episode, I really liked Moffat's commentary. But as I say, even if I didn't like the messaging and commentary, if you uplift my heart and my soul, which I believe this is what entertainment should do. It's interesting, I'm a very big Francis Ford Coppola Megalopolis supporter. But I noticed when he was doing his, you know, when they do these ultra serious kind of press conferences at Cannes, and it's really funny to listen to them, and they all look like they're going to break down in tears. The industry has just become so serious, and they think they're so utterly important. Anyway, he talks about messaging, he talks about how important it is to shine a light on things, and it's interesting. I agree with that, and I also don't agree with that. For example, JFK by Oliver Stone is one of my favourite films ever made. That film shined a light on something I didn't realise. As a kid, I was told that Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone assassin of President Kennedy. That film told me something else. And that kind of thing, shining a light on that kind of thing, is utterly important. But what JFK does, it is enlightening, but it's also hugely uplifting and entertaining. It really does touch your soul and your heart. And I think even if you're doing a biopic, even if you're doing something, it's kind of a docu-movie, but not a docu-movie, you should still have characterizations. And, you know, they do that with Kevin Costner's Jim Garrison and everything he loses and the problems he has in his relationship with his wife because he's so obsessed with, catching the people who killed JFK. So that's what I say. You can bash me over the head 60 billion times with your messaging, with your ideology, as long as you uplift me and you entertain me. That's what's utterly important. And I know that look, to me, if I was, I'm writing my latest story, I'm doing this, if you follow me on X, and I mentioned it a few times here, Saving Judy Garland. It's a spanning time-travelling adventure about a Judy Garland fan who's sucked into a funnel of a tornado and arrives in 1938 Hollywoodland and finds a police badge in his pocket. He's a policeman, but he's obsessed with changing the destiny of Judy Garland because Judy suffered with mental illness, great cruelty from her mother, lots of things happened to Judy, and she never really stood a chance. And so because utterly I've been in love with Judy all my life, so I decided to tell this story. But there's not, look, it's interesting, isn't it? There's not social commentary in my story, but there will be commentary against how Hollywood treat people. So there is an element of messaging, but I'm not really one who thinks social commentary and messaging is important, but I'm not offended by it as long as you entertain me at the same time. I've spoken about Quantum Leap before. That show was utterly woke, really woke. If that show existed today in the form it was, people would say it's so woke, right? But, as I said before, there's good woke and bad woke. The old Quantum Leap woke was great. Great messaging, right? I get it. It worked. You had the actor dressed up as a woman. He was playing a black guy. These days, I suppose that would be called utterly problematic. But it was a great show. And it always had me in tears. Its messaging actually was so well done. So no one's saying don't have this messaging. If you really feel the need, you have to. But don't do it. Don't wrap it up in hatred. When you see something like Velma, it's actually toxic. It hates men. It hates white men. It's so bad. What's the difference between people hating white people or hating black people? But this is what the people in entertainment have become. And again, one of many reasons why they're on their knees. But what I've loved about this week's build-up to Boom was there was none of the toxicity we were getting from RTD. There wasn't about racist fans, bigoted fans. It's just about a writer who's still in love with writing and the art form. It's about a writer who's still in love with Doctor Who. I absolutely believe he ain't going anywhere. So anyway, I cut myself off when we were talking about the links between new RTD2 Who and the Moffat era. So we had Clara Oswald come in the first place, in the Dalek Asylum. What was it? I forgot what that episode was called. Anyway, the Asylum of the Daleks, whatever it was, right? And she was playing a different character. Then she came in The Snowmen, and she played another version of Clara Oswald. So it's interesting that, forget names, I'm sorry. So Varada Sethu has come in as one character and will most probably play another character. So this is what I'm talking about, the repurposing. But the clue is that I think RTD2 is being, the storytelling format and the arc is more about what Moffat is doing than what RTD is doing. I definitely think it's a 60-40 partnership, and the 60% is on the side of Moffat. Because as I said, from the very beginning, I suspected this. I smelt Moffat, not RTD. From the moment we found out Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday, which Ruby Sunday is more of a Moffat name. Clara Oswald, Ruby Sunday, it pops, doesn't it? They're not RTD names. So why wouldn't they admit that Moffat and RTD are running Doctor Who together? It's the same reason why Disney didn't want George Lucas involved creatively in The Force Awakens. It's the same reason that Bob Iger wouldn't allow George Lucas's sequel trilogy to be adapted. Because at that time, there were an element of Star Wars fans that didn't like George Lucas. and Disney felt it could damage their bottom line with Lucas involved. And so they betrayed George Lucas. They promised him they would use his sequel trilogy, but once they got, it's business, it's entertainment, there's not much morality in entertainment. That's why they have no right to be telling the public. Talking down to the public about morality, Ricky Gervais was absolutely spot on there. So I believe that there's an element of the Doctor Who fandom who don't like Stephen, don't like the way he tells stories, don't like the way he ran his seasons. I am not one of those people. Because even in the not so good Moffat era, you could tell he was always trying to be wondrous and mystical and tell you a story. And he gets who? He gets who? I think Russell T Davies gets Doctor Who as well. I think what happened with Russell T Davies was he didn't like the way Chris Chibnall was treated by us, the fans. Now, I criticised Chibnall, but I tried to be constructive. But when you see your friend, verbally kicked around like that, and you're a loyal person, you're going to be angry. So RTD has come back seething. So he's trying to, I suppose, hurt an element of the fandom. I don't think he's hurting people. People are just walking away. And it's time now, RTD, to pull on your big boy pants and start making great Doctor Who again. Otherwise, it's going to go. You may intimidate the BBC and Disney, but you don't intimidate the fans. The fans can just walk away from you. It's easy. You're damaging your legacy. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You've made your point. You made your point in your Not So Specials. You made your point in your first 2 episodes of season 1. Now, personally, RTD, I love you. I love you for what you've given me in the first 4 series of Doctor Who. So I was very excited that you were coming back. I thought, wow. Because here's the thing, Russell, about Chris Chibnall. He did it to himself, my friend. He did it to himself. He underdeveloped his Doctor. He cast his friend as the Doctor. These were wrong moves, and you people may not want to admit that. They were wrong moves. He underdeveloped his diverse companions. How do you do it? How do you make Bradley Walsh boring? I still don't get that. I'm not saying I'm the best storyteller or the best director, but Jesus Christ, even I wouldn't be able to make Bradley Walsh as dull and as uninteresting as they made Graham on Doctor Who. And Yaz was an underdeveloped character. Oh, I fancy the Doctor. Oh, for Christ's sake. There's nothing wrong with that. If Rose and the Doctor can be in love, why can't 2 same-gendered people be in love? Why can't a woman be in love with the Doctor when she's a woman? It's fine. I ain't got an issue with that. But really, that's what Yaz is. How many times have we seen it criticised that, oh God, a woman's going to fall in love with a male character? The whole thing with the new Snow White. Oh, we want to modernise it. We don't want it just to be about Prince Charming saving, the damsel in distress. Okay, I get it. Make it a little bit more interesting, but please make it interesting. Don't just make big statements that trigger people. That's my point about modern entertainment. And so he did it to himself. And in terms of the Timeless Children, I've said it again. I've said it before, I say it again. Basically, it's a hot take. He didn't like the fact that it wasn't diverse enough in the old days and the criticism labelled at Doctor Who and the BBC. So there you go. There's a black child. There's an Asian child. There's different versions of the Doctor, diverse versions of the Doctor. There you go. Here's the problem with the Timeless Children. All those versions of the Doctor we see, we're not going to know them. We don't know what they're like. We don't know their personalities. That was the thing with the Doctor. We knew from the first Doctor to the 13th Doctor. We knew whether we would like them or not, like their personalities or not. They all had a thing, right? What they were like. But these kind of random versions you sprayed in there for diversity's sake, we don't know them. They're just empty shells. In a lot of ways, that's bad, insulting diversity to those diverse groups. Is that what we get? At least by having a black, gay, male Doctor, we can remember him. We can remember his personality. But doing it the way Chibnall did. But, basically, he gaslit the entire fandom. Even the ones who pretend they're cool with it and are not upset. Of course they're upset. You're basically saying that the way Doctor Who was isn't the way Doctor Who was. That you're saying that Bill Hartnell wasn't the first Doctor. That upsets people. Now, I'll be honest, it didn't bother me as much as it did some. And I think the idea of the timeless children is interesting. Oh wow, the Doctor doesn't come from Gallifrey. The Doctor comes from another universe, another galaxy, another planet. And it's a mystery. Doctor Who. Doctor Who? It's okay. That element of it was interesting. But he didn't want to plumb it. He didn't want to develop that. He didn't really want to do much. He did a little bit on it in Doctor Who Flux, which was interesting, but not enough. Now, of course, we don't want to know everything about the Doctor's origins. That's the whole point. But you did it. You created a new origin story for the Doctor. So, by doing that, people are going to say, well, you've done that, but you don't want to answer the question. So he gaslit the fandom. That's my point. He gaslit the fandom. And he really hurt Doctor Who. So, and basically RTD has come in and said, yes, he's my friend. I will not delete what my friend did. You're being overly emotional, Russell. You're being overly emotional, Russell. I know you want it. It's good that you're loyal to your friend. I get it, and I've said it before. Deleting the timeless children kind of makes a situation worse if you do it in a stupid way. But as I've said before, he wasn't willing to delete the timeless children, but he was willing to delete his great tragic ending for Donna Noble. Make it make sense. Why did you do that? Why did you do that, Russell? Even the way you did it was dumb, and it's obvious why you did it, to annoy us. You're out to trigger us. And it isn't good, Russell. I mean, I still love you. I'm disappointed in you because I grew up a lonely little boy. As I said earlier, dyslexic, learning difficulties. I take my entertainment, it gets to my heart. I love it. And that's what your Doctor Who did. I took it in, and it mattered. I loved Donna's tragic ending. There's nothing wrong with a good tragic ending. It was great. To change that, to red pill that, then say, I won't delete my friend's timeless children arc. And I get it. You're angry. You're trying, you're like a child who's angry. You're kicking around. But as I said, Russell, Chris Chibnall did this to himself, right? He did this, right? He underdeveloped his characters. He made an underwhelming, boring Doctor Who, which had great production values, to be clear. There were some really good moments. I did enjoy Fugitive of the Jadoon. But again, he gives us this mysterious female Black Doctor. She's definitely better than his friend he cast in the role. And I would have liked to have seen what she was all about. Where does she come in the lineage of the Doctor? We wasn't told. Because all it was about was saying, oh, look, we now have a female Black Doctor. That's it. That's all they're interested in doing. So again, it's insulting those diverse groups. Why wasn't Joe Martin the brand new Doctor? Why did they cast a black guy when they already had a black woman that we were interested in watching as the Doctor? So, RTD saying we broke ground, but you had a female Black Doctor, an interesting one. Everyone loved her. There were no racist reactions to her. People were saying, we want to know more. She's better than Jodie Whittaker, the white female Doctor. There was no issue with Joe Martin's Doctor. So, and we only saw her character that once. Other times she was like false ghosts and it wasn't really her. Even in Flux, in that little flashback, they should have used Joe when the Doctor's remembering, right? Why didn't they use Joe? So I know Joe's very proud about being the first female Black Doctor. But Joe, I think, you probably don't agree with me, I think you've been hung out to dry. Because you should be in Ncuti's place. I love Ncuti Gatwa. Hopefully he grows on me as the Doctor. You've got to earn, you've got to earn the right to be my Doctor. He's not my Doctor yet. And because it's too early. It's too early. I rarely embrace a Doctor at this time. So hopefully I will embrace Ncuti. I love Ncuti. He's got great personality. He's passionate. We want all of that in our actors. But, we had a diverse Doctor that everybody enjoyed. Fugitive of the Jadoon could have been her backdoor pilot. Give her a spin-off, man. Oh, we're giving her a big finish. You mean that thing that's audio that we can't see her in? Do you know how absolutely racist that is and bigoted? That's what your diversity is. It's tokenism. Joe Martin's Doctor was pure tokenism. when she right now could be the full-time Doctor. We could be watching a Doctor in between Troughton and in between Troughton and Pertwee. We could be back in that classic era. That would be freaking amazing, and find out what secret missions she was doing. Again, like the Timeless Children, Chris, you created something interesting, then threw it away. Because the only reason you invented that stuff was for pure tokenism. So, Russell, it's no good being angry with us. You've got to help Doctor Who, not hurt it.